or we're preparing to go live.
Sorry.
All right, it's 4 o'clock. So we'll call this special meeting to review the 2025 capital projects for the upcoming year. This is the start of our budgeting process. I know our staff is doing a lot of work already behind the scenes, so we appreciate that. And over the next while, we'll be seeing some more work around that. So with that, we would like to just first off, acknowledge that we're gathered again tonight on Treaty 5 territory. That's the ancestral lands of the Opaskwayak Cree Nation, many other Indigenous people, as well as the homeland of the Red River Métis Nation. With that, somebody should have a resolution to adopt the agenda.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Allen, resolved that the agenda be adopted as presented.
And just as a note, we will call a question. All in favor? Opposed, seeing none, carried. Just as a note, Councillor Atkinson is not present. I believe she may be late. And I have not heard from Councillor Forster, so I'm not sure if Bull has heard. So he's absent. The first thing that I just wouldn't mind taking a couple of minutes. I know council, we haven't really sat down and talked too much about this yet, but just sort of to set the tone for the upcoming budget season and council, after I sort of kind of outline what the thoughts are, you're welcome to add. But just want to be clear, to make sure our goals are clear. We want to deliver on improved services going into the 2025. And I think we need to strive to have a commitment of no tax increases for 2025. And that's the target that we're looking for. It's about working smarter and trying to find those efficiencies and maximizing the benefit for our community. So as I mentioned, our principle should be to find efficiencies, try to maximize every dollar, avoid slashing budgets, and cutting services just because we're trying to find a dollar. And enhance the quality of services, especially as linked to our strategic plan and about becoming effective management and looking for those efficiencies that can help add value, whether it's dollars or reduction of dollars or additional value. My suggestion for spending this year is that any proposed increase needs to come with some real clear justifications, a demonstrated return on investment for the community, and really about how we can clearly communicate to the residents and how their contributions will either better the infrastructure services or the quality of life for our residents. So with the mindset I think that we should try to adopt this year is really about spending money like it's your own money. So that we're good stewards of our budget, and also around outcomes that benefit the community of the town of the Palm. I also like to add that we should make sure that when where we're going and making our proposals this year, and when we look at our budgets, that everybody takes a few minutes and reflects on and reviews the strategic plan that we created together, and make sure that we have some good alignment there to the plans that we're moving forward in, and keeping in mind that strategic plans sometimes need to be adjusted, and if we see some changes, then we should make those changes. But it's really about everything that we should be doing is really setting the stage for growth and development and what matters most for our community. So I look forward to, and I'm sure council does, I look forward to having some good discussions and having some good constructive discussions on building a good path forward. And I also believe I had some, we need to really talk about, that's something different, so. Council?
Let's echo your comments to a point. There's 41 capital requests. Everyone is good. Everyone is worthwhile. It's not that they're just trying to spend money, but we have to be responsible and we have to decide out of the 41, which ones can we afford. One of the things at our open house the other night that was quite evident, and a number of people mentioned to me after, was the just about every project that the staff had brought forward, there was grants applied for all of those projects. And some places they wouldn't take the time to do that. Staff, I take my hat off to you. You look for money. You just don't come and say, we want this. We've got it in reserves. We're going to spend it. Let's see, just about every project that we've undertaken, it's, vehicles, there's always seems to be a grant somewhere that you find. And I think, that we're enrolled with a grant match. That's only going to emphasize that and help us long term. But back to, we have to be able to afford it. And I too would like to see a 0% tax increase. But again, if there's things in there that we have to do and to add to quality of life and for the citizens and the health and safety of our employees, it's something that we have to do. And it required a tax increase, I would support that, but it would have to be under those circumstances.
Yeah.
And I think our staff, you don't bring frivolous things for us to buy this, buy that. So giving us a good list here, and I look forward to dissecting them and trying to figure out where we're going to go as a council on which ones we move forward to. One of the things that we're really fortunate with is that councils in the past, including this one, we've allocated money to reserves. If the reserve accounts weren't there, 41 page list, we would have 2 or 3 things, and it would be looking to where we're going to find the money. And we still have to continue with that. So that's something that this council has supported over the years, and it's mandatory. So with that, look forward and thanks for all this information. It's well done.
Any other comments from council?
I would like to make one. I do echo your sentiment as well as yours, Councillor Hopper. I do want to point out, however, that reserves, as was mentioned, they're down $2.3 million over the last 2 years or 3 years. And so at some point we can't keep it in there. At some point we do have to rejuvenate that. And in terms of tax increase, I think that this council has really done a good job with the last 2 budgets to make sure that we don't increase it too much. If you look at last year, we actually had a decrease if you take away the RCMP increase.
Yeah.
So at some point, an increase will come. And I don't think we should just immediately go to let's keep this toe the line. Let's be open-minded to doing jobs that are going to be beneficial to the community.
Yeah, no, exactly right. And I'm looking to the staff. It's not about, we have to come to the table with thinking that even with the RCMP, that we want to lower the impact on our community members. But we don't want to miss opportunities. As Councillor Hopper says, we don't want to miss opportunities to add value that makes sense to spend money for our community members and to make sense for our growth of our community. Because at sometimes you have to invest money to make money. And for us, that's what we're looking for. At the same time, just to sort of close this up, is that we shouldn't wait annually for good ideas to come forward. Sometimes good ideas come forward in the middle of the year and it's not in the budget, or they come forward at a certain time that it makes sense to do it. And council wants to have the opportunity because, as Councillor Hopper has mentioned, we have reserves specifically for those reasons. we're gonna go through the reserve, sort of allocations in the next few minutes, as we've asked Laura to put on there. And to have that, the big picture is we do have some, debentures coming, ending in 2025, which provides us an opportunity to actually replenish those reserves that we are spending on. So, the next big thing comes along, so. So with that, just want to pull up, I know, I forgot to mention, we have, our controller, Laura Armstrong on the line as well. So if anybody has any questions, for people in the, viewing land. So let's have a look, before we get to the summary, let's just have a look as Councillor Alan has mentioned about our reserves, and I guess the thing is to look at is that little chart on the side sort of gives you the direction on which they're going. But just gonna pull up my marked up sheet. Open. And you can see, as you can see, you know, if you look at the reserves and I compared 2024 to 2023, there is reserves that are increasing. And if you look back over time, we have seen some very good increases in reserves. You know, infrastructure over the last 4 years has increased by, you know, $400,000. You know, the waste disposal grounds have increased by a few $100,000, $500,000 thereabouts. But where you're really seeing a decrease in reserves is the federal gas tax. And that's where, for our community members, where we've been using those funds to rebuild the roads that we have in our community. So that's where you see a lot of that spending. And if I'm off bases, Laura, please jump in. Yeah, and so that's really the significant increase or decrease that you're seeing there is in the gas tax, or the federal gas tax is quite a significant one. And as well as in water and sewer, there's a significant change, but I don't understand, like, I'm not 100% sure where that comes from, but it might have something to do with the
Lagoon
lagoon,
has to do with
the lagoon.
yeah, and also might have to do with us having to pay the, we were short a couple of years there where we had to pay.
Oh, okay, yeah, could be. So, yeah, so overall, like you mentioned, Councillor, Alan, you know, in 2021, we were sitting around 10 million, and today we're sitting around 8 million. So, you know, something to keep an eye on, and it is an important, part that we continue to, put forward our appropriate reserves allocation in our budget, and not look at saving money by not putting money in reserves. Because that's an easy one to avoid. Okay. So with that, let me just pull up my agenda again. So I guess the next step would be to go through the projects. I guess what we'll do, Bull, is pass that over to you and Laura to walk council through them. Again, keeping in mind, we're looking for the value, why we would do it. We'll give you some preliminary feedback, but we can go from there.
For the most part, you guys will end up hearing from each individual manager tonight on their projects. I provided you with a summary, which overall you'll be able to see there's about $8.6 million in projects that are being proposed.
Yeah.
I do want to point out though that $5.3 million that is coming from grants, significantly from the airport and the ACAT grant funding.
Perfect.
There is $336,000 that's being proposed to be added into operations, which at the 2024 mill rate would equate to 1.67 mil. There is a special service levy that's being proposed for $300,000 over a 2-year period, which would equate to about $85 per dwelling unit for all units that have 4 or less dwelling units. And then there's $2.7 million coming out of reserves, which you'll be able to see the breakdown for each project as well as in total by the reserves. So it could show how the reserve is sitting now, the projected revenue in 2025, and the closing balance after the expenditures being proposed.
No, that's good. And then that $85 that you were talking about, Laura, was around the garbage can, the garbage disposal system, if we go forward with that, right?
Correct. So Sam will get into that when it comes time for his projects, but if we want to start at the top of the list, then we'll actually start with Bola and a couple of projects that she's proposed.
Yes, that's the plan. Go ahead, Councilman.
Laura, just one question on the summary of the capital project funding. We have the 2025 revenue to reserve accounts. Is that the same revenue amount that was last year, or is that increased or decreased?
That hasn't changed at all. Some things that may have changed might have been with the projection of either interest rates or things that are going in there like, actually, I didn't even change the amount for accommodation taxes, even though it has increased a little bit.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Thank you, Laura. The first project here is administrative project on the civic center, but I would recommend that it starts from HR, and the reason for that request is that it's going to affect tonight.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So the HR is project 33, number 33.
Yep. Over to you, Umberto.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Mubarak and I'm the HR for this town. On my capital expenditure request form, I have a project called BIS Safety Software, which I proposing for the next year. I'm gonna start with highlighting my strategy goals for the department. Then I'm going to move to stating the need for the system. Then I'm going to talk about benefits of the system. And then I'm going to move to the conclusion of why I'm proposing for a suspension of the project.
Okay.
So during my short time of resuming at the town, I've seen that there's a high turnover of employees, many of which are due to underutilization of the employees' capacity. And I've realized that we currently do have a training platform, which is majorly for managers. Our trainings are currently being done from only with the management, and it's not coming from the top to the bottom. We currently do not have many training and development programs for specific roles. And
For what was that? For specific
roles, like the job position.
Oh, okay, roles.
Within the department. And I realized that most of the trainings are the ones that are offered are really specific to some departments, and some employees of some departments are being left out. I also realized that we don't have detailed report on these trainings that have been done, enough for us to make some decisions as management. And also there's a lot of gap analysis in training and many more. However, the BIS safety training software offers range of benefits, starting with tracking and management of training records and certifications, tracking and reporting of trainings completed either online or in the classroom or even in another system. It also helps with easy upload of user accounts. We can upload a list of 150,000 employees within minutes. It helps to track the expiration of certifications, which helps us to, which eliminates the need for us to manually track and ask questions about when these certificates are expiring. It also helps us to access over 1,800 courses specific to each job positions within the organization. And this helps us to also train employees that are whether in the front desk position or whether in the public works department or whether in the museum. Also, it helps us to have a scheduled Excel report for finance, so we can have a record of how much we spent on trainings and how much each department is spending on trainings per year. And these are a few of the benefits. We also have a training matrix, which means that for each position within the department, there are trainings that are recommended for this position. So let's say we are hiring for an administrative assistant. So this platform helps us to identify all the trainings required for that position. And it helps us to eliminate the doubt and need to ask questions like, does this person need this training or does this person not need this training? Also, it helps us to give our public works staff, especially not just trainings that they need to carry out safe operations. It also helps to give them trainings that are specific to interactions with the public. We don't want situations whereby it's possible for employees to exactly know what they do, right? Also, it's not just about that. We need them to also understand how to interact with the public, especially when it comes to maybe garbage sanitation and many more. It helps us to reduce the risk of compliance, and also we need to get updated trainings and so on. However, so this aligns with the strategic goals of the HR. The strategic goals that I have for the department, I have identified 7 strategic goals. And this aligns with the training management system. We are looking to have a department where we would have employees that are fully equipped and are ready to go on to the next level. We want to see employees progress from the position of a front desk admin assistant up to the level for the organization. We want to be able to build and train employees right from engineering clerk position right up to the superintendent of the town. However, I'm proposing for this project to be suspended until next year, and this is the reason why I'm proposing for it to be suspended. I came up with this within a very short period because of things that I've identified. I'm going to be 4 months with the town, and I think tomorrow, in 2 days rather. And so, which has not given me enough time to meet with managers one-on-one to identify the training needs specific to each department. However, I've been able to meet with a couple, but due to the busy season, a lot of managers have been, they've had a lot to deal with. So I need more time to investigate other programs as well that can help us to reduce cost. Also, I want to take time to eliminate some features from the project. Currently, we have $14,002. which is quite, a lot. But we are looking to maybe eliminate the need to buy a digital folder.
Question, Councilor.
So if you were a salesman for this, I would have bought two already. But you say you're not gonna, you don't want this till next year?
Yes,
2025 or 2026?
I'm guessing this is for 2025, right?
Yeah, so,
2025.
so,
So that would be for 3 years.
Is there a yearly, any other fees associated with this?
Yes, so this is going to be an annual
Contract.
subscription platform. However, we currently have a platform which I'm still trying to make the best of to see if we can eliminate that, save money from that platform and transfer the cost to this one. However, by looking at some of the features here, I'm looking to reduce the cost maybe from 14,000 to like 7,000 or 6,000. So by the time we are looking at the plus and minus, we might be looking at maybe an extra 2,000
Yeah.
to add to what we currently have.
It sounds like a really good program that would help you a lot, help the staff.
well, and then I think also just to add, it's a regulatory requirement for us to track training of employees and to develop our employees. So, right now, I think there's a big gap there, with what's happening. So I think it's time to do the right investment and move in that direction. So I'm not sure if anybody else has any questions for Robert. If not, Robert, I think you've got our support right now, and drive the price down. If you can get it for free, you can have two.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And off the $2, right?
Yeah. And safe travels. The roads are not the best out there, so.
Thank you.
So the next one would be, I have two projects. Okay, I have 41 projects, but I have kind of two recommended projects. And the first one is more of enhancements.
One.
Enhancements of this particular building, Civic Center. I know this building was built right before, I don't know, long time ago. So if you go to the front of this building, like the front, there is a flag there. We have national flag there. And if you see where it's being erected, very close to the state. You notice very well. So this is my recommendation and why I'm bringing this up, that instead of having a national flag, why can't we have like both national municipal flag as well as our municipal?
Similar what they are.
National is exactly similar to RCMP, but it's going to be more of, we have national flag, we have provincial flag, then we have the town of Depa flag. So for the town of Depa flag, that would be there will be a flexibility in that. Suppose there is, this week is LGBTQ, so you can put up their flag and bring down the municipal flag. Suppose there is truth and reconciliation, you can put that one up, bring the town of Depa flag down. So that's the essence of the third one. Similar to that, but we just fix the federal one, fix the provincial one, then we allow the flexibility with the municipal flag. That is the first one. And a couple of days ago, I got this idea from as one of the council member, mayor specifically, regarding the Second Street. Is that Second Street? By, what's the name of that? Second on Edward. That's, that place is kind of 4-lane. I think I will be able to explain this to four streets coming together. That would be a very good place for us to have something like national flag.
No, in the spirit of truth and reconciliation, and one of the things that we do is we want to recognize that. And if you look at our intersections in town and the ones that we actually can close down from time to time, that's likely the less busiest area that can be closed up for a couple of hours to hold some sort of event and festival. So one of the suggestions and the discussions is that maybe we add a flagpole or some sort of way of recognizing Opaskwayak Cree Nation, the town of DePaul, the RM of Kelsey, and the Manitoba Métis Federation as some sort of corner where we can sort of come together and, you know, again, in that spirit of truth and reconciliation. You know, obviously the discussion would be to talk to Opaskwayak Cree Nation and Manitoba Métis and RIM to get their support, which I don't see it, but also to decide how we would make an official naming of that. So that's the idea there, just a concept, no idea on costs. But you know, I think it's important for us as a community to keep moving forward.
Okay, thank you. Then aside from the flagpole, I'm still on project one. If we have any left over, we want to kind of do some improvements for the fronts of this building.
That's what I was gonna add to this. It shouldn't just be a flag
Mhm.
erection, it should be a complete overhaul of the front. It's almost embarrassing walking up our front steps.
Mhm.
It needs a complete update, basically rip out the whole area, and there should be a budgeting for that. It should be a welcoming space, not a,
Yes.
I don't wanna pay my bill today because it's gross.
Yeah, I agree.
So it should be built in.
Yeah, I agree. And also, I think we've already had funds set aside for a plaque that we've had and also for our painting that we wanted to do. So, you know, we could even to roll that into something bigger, better outside if we had to. So looking at the big picture. So I guess what I'm hearing right now, Bola, is we're in support to learn more and we can include it. And if it gets down, you know, or keeping in mind, Councillor Manage's input is that, you know, the outside needs to be nicer than a 1970s building.
Say with that, Councilor Manager, I think what we need to do then is pass it back over to Sam and say, okay, now that project 42. So we have ample time to know what the costs are gonna be to
Yeah.
do it overall the front and what it's gonna look like, and we can figure out where that's gonna fit in.
Yeah,
I believe that would be an outside contract,
Yeah.
not town of the fall, but send it out for tender.
I would agree, yeah, the volume and scope of work that potentially looking at would be.
Oh, yeah.
All beyond
I agree.
our internal.
Just get the pricing. See where we're at.
So we will come up with a few different ideas to maybe, because I think the stairs obviously is part of it, the ramp,
Everything.
and then the brickwork, and then the
I don't
benches.
even think our ramp's accessible, meets the standard.
Ramp needs to be redone.
Okay, so that's good, Bola.
Thank you. I have the second one. The second one project is more of improvement. Asking for two things. The furniture, if you go to the committee room, we have about 3 or 4 different colors of chairs. Aside from that, there's a particular chair was almost like fell down one day because I was trying to relax and was had an accident. So I will recommend that we replace our chairs, not only at the committee room, as well as this, something that are more comfortable, both for the visitor that come, that like, to come here for meeting, as well as a council member.
Like you're thinking maybe a lazy boy recliner.
Not
Just for the management offices, but we're still thinking of you guys as well. You guys spend a lot of time sitting in those chairs, and again, the professional atmosphere of the facility of our building. You know, we've done a good job painting that room, and some of the upgrading people has recommended for that space.
And the second part for this, second part of this project is getting another screen aside from this. I want to give an example when we had town hall, they had to move this so if any accident, there is no backup. So we have this one fixed at the council chamber, and we have another one at the committee room.
Yeah.
There's 2 meetings going on simultaneously. We look at it and
Oh, I agree.
together, and if we have any other meeting, we can take that one at the committee room, take it out, and we just have to have the reason. If something happens, we have something to fall back. So that's why I'm recommending the furniture.
Yeah.
As well as one screen.
Cost, so the 85.
Yes, I tried to check with.
Probably closer to 9,000. We priced out like ballpark chairs, bulk purchase of, kind of chairs for the committee room and the chamber.
Well, I believe we got support on that, so let's, we can include it in our budget right now and see where it goes.
Hold
Yes.
on, Counselor Atkinson didn't get this.
Oh, here, you can have mine. Because I have mine electronically.
I think the device, thanks.
So that's for the second project. So the projects, second and third project up to 30 something, up to number 20 will be for public works. So sound will be
Good, thank you. I'm a visual learner, so we just made a couple of little slides just so that we can kind of see what we're talking about. So we'll just give Tammy a quick second to pull it up on the TV screen here, just to,
You mean you're a visual teacher because.
well, I
You're
didn't want
gonna
to,
teach us, no.
It's the first time he's seeing it.
Oh, yeah.
that's harsh, but thank you. Okay, so we'll jump right into the first slide. Excellent. Okay, so we sort of spoke about this the other evening at the open house. Outside of anything related to pickleball, I think this was probably the second biggest hit that we heard that evening. So again, the purchasing of a skid steer with a Harley rake and some additional attachments. So one of the big concerns that the citizens have raised to us, to our department, and to our staff regarding the condition of the back lanes. We had a demo this summer from a unit that's in operation in Swan River. It was very impressive. There is potential savings that come from this, so we don't have to always be laying more gravel down all the time. Also, right now, when we do back lanes, it's either by the grader or the loader, which is OP3 dependent, which is our highest level operators or with the most experience. And oftentimes we find ourselves stretching them to do high level work, whether it's water breaks, digs, sewer jetting, very important level work. This would free up somebody maybe who's not an OP3 to be able to perform this type of work as well. So it gives us more flexibility in that sense. Also, the skid steer itself comes with numerous attachments that we can look at further down the line as well, with flexibility of adding into potentially snow removal operations. If the maintenance department needs a piece of equipment to go work on the outdoor rink clearing snow after heavy snowfall, this is available for that as well. An auger attachment would help us with signposts in the parks, signs in general. There's unlimited possibilities with the skid steer, and the back lane obviously being a priority for the community, it feels like.
So Sam, I think, we talked about this in council, I think a couple of times now. This is one of those projects that if I was in your position, in Tanvir's position, I would have already asked for this in 2024 and try to get it, because I see there's huge value for our community to have this. I think we should have it now and not wait. I think when you look at what the feedback we're getting, and then we do have some reserves to cover some of this stuff. I think this is a no-brainer, to be honest with you. I actually think that you should order it next week, but obviously council would have to approve that. I'm not sure about, every single attachment, but when you talk about the bucket and the blade and a power rake and a snow blower, I think that's an instant. And the Harley rake, a post hole digger, I don't know how often you do that. I don't know the cost of that, but so I completely support this project.
The Harley rake
Just one
and,
second, Carrie.
oh, sorry.
I have to agree with that, the amount of complaints with the back alleys, and it just makes total sense.
Yeah.
And it's
Schoolyards.
hard on everybody in town equipment also.
Sorry, Councilor.
No, that's okay. My apologies. I should have looked up. The Harley rake, is that accessible to something other than the skid steer? Like, can it be attached to current equipment that we have?
That's a good question. So there are versions of it that are a little bit more, they're larger, that they would maybe attach to like a backhoe or a loader. They're not as nimble to get it to certain areas as well. And the reason why we like this sort of application is when they did the demo, he did the entire wellness center parking lot and the access part in like less than an hour. And so that was a pretty good swath of area that he covered.
Councilor Hopper?
Well, let's support it in next year's capital, for sure. I'm not gonna be able to use the rake until
Yeah,
late spring anyway, so we're getting along presently without this service, so I'd say put in next year's budget, I'd support it for Sarah.
And depending on delivery time, perhaps we can discuss like the next time, we can maybe figure out what delivery dates look like.
yeah, and again, we didn't talk about that earlier, and I should have mentioned it, I forgot, but. You know, we're gonna go through capital now. If there's things that we need to get pre-approval to order before we get an official budget approved, we need to be highlighted that, like, we don't wanna hold up getting delivery on stuff and or items that are now we're 6 months away and we're approving the budget in May and you're not getting it till December. There's something we need now, do it now. If there's value in it, let's get approvals to order it now, so it arrives in January, or whatever it happens to be for 2025. So let's keep that in mind.
I would suggest this is probably one of those items because the lead time may take some time. We're still not gonna see a bill for it
Yeah.
in the new year, so I
Yeah.
think if that's something,
No.
there's a few items that I do have. highlighted.
Yeah, so highlight those as we go through.
That's one question.
Sorry.
I support this as well. My question is how often are we gonna see this out? And the reason I asked that question is right now back lanes aren't top of the priority list. And I'm gonna assume, people power might be kind of limited. So how often is this actually gonna get used realistic?
I would like to see it out at least once a week, at least for an 8-hour shift. Maybe twice a week, depending on sort of what, we wanna see kind of how much coverage we can do in an 8-hour shift. And then sort of create a plan as to like what a cycle would look like across town, which we haven't fully fleshed out yet. Again, our op threes are so busy in the summer with all our water and sewer breaks. It is difficult to, you know, we have so many underground works to do to pull an operator 3 to send him to do back lanes. It is kind of a little bit time consuming and his use is so much greater in those capital works that we're doing.
Personally, Sam, I think that we
I will
should,
count myself to speak, but
I think that we should have have such a huge backlog. We should hire somebody full-time to do that all summer long.
And realistically, the skid steer itself is gonna be probably overutilized, not
Yeah.
underutilized. You're gonna get to the point where you're gonna wear it out long
I heard
before.
recreation say yes, kind of behind me, so, but we have to keep in mind that we didn't want to ask for a ton of attachments for that reason, because we want to make sure like that this is the primary focus in the summer of the unit, right? To utilize it for the lanes, so.
But winter time, like today, perfect example,
Yeah.
snow blade or snow,
Absolutely.
you're doing the little areas that the loader
The
can't get
school.
into, we're doing half a job at, right? So.
Just for context, when we did do the parking lot with the Harley rig, it lasted over a month without getting the plot for that, so it was well worth it just to get it for that one time to pull us over through until now, basically, because it really did a good job. I'm lovely note that.
Before we go to the second one, we have what the manager said. I just need a clarification from council. If manager needs something and that thing is not part of the capital projects or plan for the year, do we have the max amount that we can bring to council for quick approval? And I'll give an instance, like the water fountain or any that kind of problem.
Yeah.
That if it happens, do we have like a limit?
So what,
Or should we bring everything, or should we wait for?
no, so what we need to clarify, and I know we've talked about this in the past, is we need a delegation of authority document updated so that everybody knows exactly what the authority is for spending. I believe that when we have something's broken that's a part of the building already, you need to fix it. So if you have, like, let's use the water fountains, for example. You have 2 water fountains and they're broken and you gotta buy 2 new water fountains. You should just buy 2 new water fountains because we've already approved the building to have 2 water fountains. Now, if you wanna buy 8 water fountains and they're Cadillac version water fountains that do Gatorade and everything else in them, that adds in a bunch of costs, then you need to come to council for approval. So I always look at this as stuff that's in kind, sort of the same stuff, you do it. Now, there is that limit where and I guess it goes to the delegation of authority, that when you spend, you need to understand what level you can go to. And this is the document that Laura has to bring back to council supposedly we've had it before and it was taken away, I don't remember, but we need to bring that back so that we put the decision-making into our managements and our administration, and that we're, as council, we're governance over the financials. And if there's something unusual or exceptional, we need to understand and approve that. But if it's there, it's there.
So does,
Sorry. Go ahead, okay.
does this fall into, like the CAO has a limit? Would this fall into that or no?
Well, what we need to do is we need to have that document brought
Right.
to council so that council can sign off on it and everybody's clear. Councilor Mitchell.
To your question, currently, actually, nobody has any type of discretionary spending limit. Andre's correct in saying that that was revoked at one time. It was before my time. But I do know that it was revoked, and I do have a working document in the works to get to council to bring that back and have that delegation based on their role and the type of work that they do.
Yeah, and just, and I'm glad you brought that up, Laura, because we still have documents that do provide the authority, but it doesn't look like we've kind of, so that's great. Councilor March?
I just wanted to kind of echo what you're saying, and yes, I agree, there should be some discretionary spending, approval through BOLA or whatever it may be. But things like, as you're saying, maintenance items. Yes, it's a capital project, therefore it's on this list, but saying, hey, we want to reshingle the water treatment plant, to me, doesn't need to come.
I agree.
That's a, hey, we put it in our budget because it's a necessary item.
Yeah.
It shouldn't have to be a separate. To me, it's like, look at it, we're recognizing this, and it needs to be looked after.
We need a new compressor because the old compressor is broke down and broken and it's under a certain level. We get it. You want to buy a big massive compressor that's gonna do a whole bunch of other things, then you need to kind of get it.
Yeah, there's a few items in here that I think fit that.
Yeah,
So
so
I think this list mostly is, I don't want to call it a wish list, but a lot of it is a wish list, like, see how far we can push it. Some of them are definitely worth us considering, but when you have a department asking for $1.5 million worth of stuff, when they have $2 million or $200,000 aside, you know it's a wish list. You're hoping for one of those items, and that's a fair discussion to see where the value is. But yeah, the little items, as far as I'm concerned, don't need to be here.
So it looks like you've got support for the skid steer, get it ordered ASAP, so it arrives at the right time. So it's good, thank you.
One item.
Holiday decoration.
I'll go a little faster now.
Yeah.
Holiday decorations, we talked about this again the other evening, we want to do a little revamp. This also would be a time sensitive one. We'd like to order just a few things for the front of the office. And when I say front of the office, several things are going on. On First Street, I think is kind of the most forward facing part. We have 2 municipal office signs, one in front of the fire hall, one at the corner of Edwards and First. I'd like to put a couple, trees of that sort of nature, sort of fits our logo on either side of the municipal sign. We have a whole bunch of LED lights that to just kind of wrap them around and then just kind of create a little bit of a display in between. And then something nice for the arena, maybe get the kids excited when they come there, maybe like the Santa Claus sort of on the entryway, a little bit of LED lights there. Nothing crazy, just.
Community pride, I support that. It meets our strategic plan. Snowing blade.
One comment to me, I do support that. What I think I'd like to see maybe for next year is instead of coming and bringing this forward and like we do the flowers, we do other stuff, maybe just a lump sum budget for community enhancement.
Yeah, good idea.
That's a great idea. Okay. Yeah, pre-approval, sounds good, just assuming they don't see otherwise.
Well, I believe we have.
Snow wing blade, this is a little bit of a work in progress, I don't think we'll obviously be able to do it for this year. So currently right now, sorry about the ads, we're just sort of working with what we have. So currently right now, when the grader goes out, they pair the grader with the loader with the blade. So the loader will sort of draft on the side that the blade is angled from the grader, and they can get a whole lot of work done together. That leaves our additional loader sort of working by itself with kind of a limited ability. So they do the tight areas like all the bays, the back lanes, things of that nature. It doesn't allow us to do a nice cleanup job as we go by. We get a lot of complaints at the office that you left the ridge behind, you left your ridge behind. It's like, we really didn't have a choice because of the way it's designed with our current blade on our loader. So this is an attachment. It's being shown on a skid steer. However, this is an attachment that.
Let's get it.
Okay, it's a 5-in-1. There's 2 versions of it we're looking at. We're just looking at hydraulic capacity and to make sure to work with our equipment. And it just is a wonderful cleanup job around
I
everything.
think it's got support there, so.
And this cost is per blade, like weight, I mean?
For one unit, for that unit is approximately in the 25,000 range. Okay, next item is the, yes, yeah. You check it.
Said range,
Huh?
$25,000 range,
Ish,
30.
max, but we'll, the
Well-
25, we felt comfortable with the 25.
Yeah, like, well, I mean, the number we're going is the number that's on there. If we're gonna go, again, this goes back to what we said earlier. If you're gonna go and ask for more, you need to come and ask for approval. The
Absolutely.
delegation of authority is based on whatever that percentage is over.
This are using in other communities.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've seen some really nice videos with, putting it into work, so we'll do some more due diligence before we do it, but yeah. So mechanic service truck was taken out of service, I think about a year and a half ago, had significant electrical issues, motor issues. So that vehicle is used to, you know, it goes around fueling up all of the equipment that's in the field potentially like at the landfill. So right now the slip tank's in the old Command 2 unit, which is unit 74, very old unit, rusted out body, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So currently the mechanics don't have an ability to go perform service work in the field. So everything has to be either towed or hauled back or leaking all the way back to the garage, which is not ideal. So they're asking for, in speaking with the mechanics, they've asked us to put forward just a stripped down used version. We have a lot of the components from our previous mechanic truck to put on this unit, so such as the welder, the compressor, the winch crane, and I believe the flat deck if we can make it work. So the only additional thing would be some new toolboxes on there, and I think that's the only thing they wanted.
So the mechanics will actually service they do that in the past, they used to go out.
Yeah, so if
do it
let's
on the
say,
side
let's
of
say
the
there's a
road.
tire blown out on a vehicle, they can go down there, fill it up, so they don't have to get that vehicle towed back to the shop.
Hydraulic hoses. and stuff.
Yeah, or a hydraulic leak or whatever, they can do some repairs mobile. Right now, we don't have any mobile ability, so.
So then my only other question with we don't have any other service trucks, like, so the truck that's there is gonna disappear and we're not adding another truck just because?
No, this is for one that's already been sort of put into the graveyard.
Yeah, but the one they're using today that you just said that's no good, that'll also disappear?
Pretty soon it will, yeah.
So, but if you get a new truck, will that one that you just justified getting this one for disappear from the fleet?
I would say it a different way. I would say that the one that we're justifying this replacement has already been put to bed.
So you're getting by, well, I guess what I'm not saying is, like, I'm trying to figure out is, you're already getting by then with the mechanic's truck.
Getting
So you
by-
already have a
Getting by would be a
mechanic
little generous, probably. We're limping along with it, I guess.
Yeah.
And then that, like, by the time we get this truck, that truck might be great. I don't know the answer specifically if that one is ready to be retired.
Yeah, I always struggle with mobile equipment when we talk about equipment that's no good, that's gonna be broke down, it's all rusted out. That's what we're using today. We need a new one. But when we get the new one, we're still gonna use the old one.
I'm gonna assume what you're saying there, remember, is that, are we gonna have the same number of vehicles on the road after we get this? Same number of vehicles in our inventory after we get this?
At the current rate of deterioration, I don't know if that's the case. We were currently, lately, we've only been replacing one new one for every two that we've retired, so I don't know if we're doing one for one right now in terms of a replacement.
Thing is, we're talking efficiency. You're not using the old truck for obvious reasons, it's run its time.
Yeah.
So now you've gotta pick another vehicle, you've gotta put your tools in there, you've gotta go out, or you gotta tow it back, so time-wise, you need the vehicle, I mean.
I think,
I know what you're
Councillor,
saying, you don't want.
I think Councillor Hopper, we're not disagreeing that they need a vehicle, they need to have it for the efficiency. But my concern is that you actually end up maintaining that old fleet that's broke down, that cost you maintenance, that now is somebody else is driving that's supposedly unsafe. That's all I'm asking, so, I think we support that mechanic's truck. I would still like to, and we had this discussion, I think, last
Yeah.
year on the mobile fleet. I'd like to understand because I see trucks broken down all over the place, all through the front of the RHA, yeah, no, I see all these trucks at the RH and I just wanna make sure we're like, I wanna give us the vehicles and we're, not I personally. We wanna provide the tools to be able to do our jobs effectively. but we can't use it as justification, we're already being effective.
So I think I promised this last year to Councillor Allen about a fleet, and I was gonna read his mind, I think, fleet inventory sort of reassessment, so I think it's probably time for us to bring forward another fleet assessment.
We should have it every year, yeah, it's budget time.
Sorry, I know this is kind of a sidebar, but it's all tied together. At what point will we ever have that auction for the town of Pod to get rid of our equipment before it loses any value at all? We've been talking about having an
Yeah.
auction for 10 years. We just have a graveyard. It'd be nice to even collect a few dollars on it. Helps justify why we're doing it.
I think if you could write that down, Bola, like it is a sidebar of this, but maybe at our next council meeting, we can actually land on a date. When there is gonna be an auction and then.
I know there's a lot of work to it, and I know we talk about it quite often. And Graham, but it's time to get rid of the equipment so we can justify it, so you don't have that ability to bring in stuff.
Even if it's put online for sale.
But there are rules to getting rid of municipal items, right? And I know that becomes a lot of work to inventory and to get them.
Well, they're all fine.
Either way, it should be done.
Go ahead, Laura.
I've been currently working with a company called Gov Deals to set up an online auction for the town of the Pod. I've sent the information over to Trevor and also to the purchasing agent to gather some data. We need to get some pictures of these items so that we can get them online. And this was one of the, I'm not sure if council remembers, but I brought this forth to council and you guys approved that we can move ahead with this because
Yeah.
standards, what they've seen is that because it's viewed more widely, people end up making a little bit more money than just doing a local auction.
Yeah.
So I'm just waiting for that information to come back to me so that I can get these items posted and then we can just have an ongoing, continuous auction. We shouldn't, like, we don't have to wait for it to be once a year. There's nothing in the municipal act that states that it can only be once a year. We may have to, we already actually did change our policy to accommodate this, so we don't even have to worry about that. Again, it's just getting the information together and getting it posted online.
Perfect, thank you, Laura. Next.
Also,
Oh, sorry.
I should have this to unfinished business.
Yeah.
No, when we're talking about maintaining stuff as they're breaking down, when it comes to our vehicles, what's the expectation for rust and all that?
What do you mean by?
Well, I mean, do you have some vehicles that got some rust on it, or do we go down to the body shop? You're trying to address that when it first appears, because there's at least one vehicle that's pretty bad.
Yeah, there's a few that are in really bad shape. I don't believe we've ever taken them to the body shop that I can recall, off the top of my head. But it's an idea to like maintain and sort of extend the life of the units. So it's good.
It's also an image thing.
Yeah.
Rust for sure, it's all look great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay, wheel loader.
Yeah, next item is a wheel loader, so I would like to put a pause on this one, if that's okay with council.
Yep.
I saw that the airport is talking about getting a new one through ACAP and potentially one. I don't know what their plan is with that one, or I guess previously the town received one from them and we put it to use at the landfill, and that would probably go a long way instead of us buying a new one, so.
No, good.
If you guys are okay, we'll put a pause until we have more time to speak with the
Yep.
manager on that.
Mr. Babbitt's gonna get it up.
Yeah.
I wasn't.
I had a feeling that was gonna be a long discussion, so I don't think so. So residential roll-up carts, so we talked about this the other evening, we had mixed reaction, I would say, at the open house. The idea of modernizing our garbage system obviously is something that council has talked about for many years and wanting to move forward on. We kind of brought this forward as to kind of like maybe spark that discussion to talk about what does it look like to modernize our garbage collection? And would the first step be just buying carts to kind of get people accustomed to that portion of it?
I believe, Sam, what we need to have though is, we need a vision of what the next few years will look like. So that people understand that it's not just the garbage cans and that's all we're stuck with. And so that if they see the end goal, and the end goal is to have multiple options, you know, redeploying resources within the plan, what's inside the community to do certain things, just showing that efficiency. I think it's easier to sell it, to just go out and buy the garbage cans because we don't like the garbage stand. I just don't see any value in that, and I think that if we don't have that big picture, and this is phase one, then I would not support this. I support it as a big thing, so.
I think it has to be one event. You buy a truck, you buy garbage cans as one, you get everyone on board.
Okay.
Because we'll buy the garbage cans and they'll say, you know what, it's going pretty good, so we'll just go with garbage cans.
Yeah.
And all you've done is hamper
Yeah.
the residents rather than create an
Oh, that's
efficiency.
good.
I think that's totally fair.
Yeah.
The purpose of us putting this on was just to make sure that you guys knew that we were thinking about
Yeah.
this modernization. And also there's other steps that are tied into when we revamp the garbage collection system. We think this through very, spend a lot of hours talking about it. When we get to commercial garbage, we always seem to hit a wall.
Yeah.
With the larger units, so we have to really think that through.
So so as Councillor Manich has mentioned, if we can sort of, let's get the picture of everything. And what your vision is for modernized garbage collection for the town of the Bog. Then we can sort of maybe come up with some grants and others to do it properly, or do it all at once.
Would this fit like 4 or 5 bags then?
So the one that we were pricing out is for 3 to 4 bags.
3, 4.
So City of Winnipeg offers a variety, you just pay more for your collection based on the size you purchase, there's like 4 sizes, so.
And you're not gonna technically be required to bag every bit of garbage, as long as it's in that bin, it gets picked up.
Yeah.
So
Correct.
Yeah.
Next one is paving of the proposed streets for this year would be Bagshaw, Reader, Set, and the Wellness Center parking lot.
So, go ahead.
And we also discussed possibly looking at trying to shave off some of the humps, maybe on Traeger and Lamb. Some level of service there. We've done a pretty good job doing all the main arteries in our community. So this will be the next sort of phase. We'll be looking at these potential areas that are high priority.
That area is.
Our gas tax, I don't know how much strain we want to put on a gas tax. I guess that's a discussion for council to have with the CFO. There's different approaches to it, whether it's service levies, improvement levies, region like local.
Yeah, well, it's gonna get creative there. My only question is that is that enough money to do that for that? Do you have to do the entire thing though, because it's so soft and dippy that if you do a shave and pave sort of thing, you're just back in the same position after spending $1 million in 5 years, 6 years?
We spoke to some people about that to kind of get some different opinions, whether it's an overlay, a shave and pave. We kind of went back and forth, that we just cut the humps out.
But would it be good to get a geotech company first as the first step to come in and actually do an actual study of the soil there?
That was one of the recommendations from the person we spoke with, is to get an idea of what we have for sub-base, subgrade. Because we're also nervous of spending $1 million of taxpayer money and then having it turn into kind of a disaster. So that was the recommendation, was that we do a couple of test holes, see what we have to work with.
So maybe that's something we should be asking for now. Like, I don't know if they can drill in the winter, but in the spring anyways, that we put some consulting money aside so that we get the real picture there, because I'd hate to spend $1 million and then realize that you need to spend 5.
If I was gonna do anything right now, the sub has to be fixed. And if you're doing anything, you took out the humps and just left the gravel, 10 feet of gravel, that'd be better than the humps. But
I thought there was a study done in those areas of why, like, I've heard multiple times, talk about musket, talk about sand, talking about multiple
Sand and silt is the backfill. So I tell this story a couple times a year. We were digging on Reader. So Reader, there's a walking path that attaches Bagshaw and Reader. We were digging at there's a water line that goes there. We're digging at that water line. By the end of that dig, we almost couldn't reach the cage anymore from any direction. That's how much collapsing and sinkhole was created. Like, it was incredible how much.
Which then sort of raises the concern is, what are we really gonna do there? Like, before we just spend money, so maybe we could get a little bit more information on that, guys, and as Councillor Hopper is there any way we can actually make it a little bit better for people over there anyways, by getting rid of the humps, maybe adding some good gravel and pack tape and because it's not a high-speed area.
We even thought about like a cold planer attachment, maybe for the skid steer, where you can shave those bumps down and see kind of what happens after, leave it for a season, but.
With the grader operator in the winter, feeding the snow at 3 times the speed, how many humps?
There'll be a lot of wrist injuries from that crash.
Okay, so we'll get some more information on that, and Tanvir, sorry.
First off, I'm gonna make the comment, I'd like to see this be more. Last year we did $1.5 million. I get that that came from gas tax largely, but I mean, I think once you start taking it out, it's hard to put it back in.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I'm in favor of it being higher.
Yeah, we tried to kind of align with what was in.
Yeah, no, I totally understand where you're coming from, but just I wanted to get that comment out right off the start. Secondly, if it's going to be a time crunch to figure out what to do with Reader and Bagshaw and all that, I definitely want to see something done on this council's term for one or both of those, because it's been council after council after council delaying that, and it shouldn't. But we shouldn't jeopardize doing something next year just because of a time crunch. Line it up for 2026 to do there, and then let's commit that to someplace else. There's countless other streets in this community that need to shave and pay.
And I believe, just to reinforce what Councillor Allen said, you know, we do have an asset management plan, so we should understand what roads are required. And I would also get pre-approval to secure a contractor immediately, once you know what your budget is. And to say, we're spending X dollars in the town of the pond next year, we need you here.
Mhm.
And don't scramble at the last minute. So once we get the approval for the funding, you know, we should have a list of all the roads that need to be done, whether it's Reader or Bagshaw or whatever it happens to be.
Sounds good.
Reduce speed zone signage, I think we're all on board for that. I mean, we've talked about it long enough. I don't think there's anything more that we need to talk about. Let's bring it forward, sooner the better. Let's not wait. If we can get it done now, let's do it now. I think that we also provided that indication that we could do it in 2024.
Okay, a little bit challenging this time of year, but,
Yeah, no, I'm just giving you that. The approval is there.
yeah, no, we will.
Do it as fast as you can do it.
We'll start ordering signs and getting everything ready to start our planning for the layout and,
Air compressors, the replacement in kind?
Yeah.
Well, then let's just get it, you need it. Portable turbidity meters,
Same thing.
it's a regulatory issue.
Yeah.
As Councillor Manage said, shingling a roof, just do it.
Okay.
Construction fences, that's a tool, so it's a bit discretionary, but you're offsetting rental costs.
yeah, we've been renting a lot and this is.
So just do it, yeah.
savings, Easy savings for us.
Scissor lift,
So we put this on here quite a long time ago, again, an item that we've discussed with council. Council sort of asked us the questions, we do spend money on rentals or lifts a lot. So that's the price of a used one, give or take, you know, a few years
Yeah.
old. The thing that we keep getting back to, we discuss this further, is that we do so many different applications with a scissor lift. So purchasing one that, like, I would hate to say, yes, council, this is gonna be great, I'll buy this, I'm gonna use it all the time, and then you guys see a bill come across your desk for like a Zoom boom.
yeah. My only comment would be is that a four-wheel drive Zoom boom, that's smaller and more nimble would be better than an actual scissor lift.
I was questioning about a scissor lift as well, unless you have the ability to take it into places like the wellness center and things like that, to do lights.
That'd be our priority, the arena lights, the wellness center lights.
But a Zoom boom can be done that way too.
If they have the right size.
Yeah.
But it'd be difficult to find a Zoom boom that's gonna fit in the wellness center effectively and do outside work. But we would be able to update the marquee sign all the time, but.
But you know what, but like, I think that I have a little bit of experience, I know that we can get a Zoom boom that will be very nimble like a scissor lift. That will be more valuable, like a two-man bucket, that would be more valuable than, because the scissor lift is can't really work on uneven ground.
Yeah.
And you can't really use it outside after, you know, you can, but it's limited.
Maneuverability is.
Yeah, so-
You're up and you're down, and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think, you know, I think you've got approval that you need the tools. Just make sure we get the right tools, show us what you're using it for. Downtown garbage cans, oh, sorry. Sorry, Councillor, I don't mean to jump ahead.
So, yeah, you mentioned about we rent it quite often. So how much do we spend a year on rentals?
In probably the $5,000 to $6,000 a year neighborhood. It depends on the year. we've been renting one that's pretty effective for what we need for Christmas lights. That's why I think the application was something that we wanted to make sure we weren't just spending money on something that we can only have one application for, that we're still sending you guys invoices to sign for other rentals. So I think 5,000 to 6,000 a year is roughly, is probably the ballpark.
So what's the lifespan on a used one?
That's the other thing that we're sort of looking at. So we think they're probably like 10 to 12 year lifespan. So by the time you spend the money, you've already sort of reached its end of life cycle. But when we bring this back, because this isn't like an immediate need right now, we want to kind of bring it back to the table. Hopefully we'll have all the data fleshed out.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's the life of the battery, so you can get that if it's an electric system, but just want to make one comment about, because once you get one, it'll be used all the time. It'll be one of your most valuable tools. You'll be using it for everything. It's the most safe thing to use. I see this as a high value.
We'll never have to set up scaffolding in the building for painting, and there's huge safety benefits here.
Even removal of dust and your ducts, all those kind of things.
Yeah, oh my
Yeah.
God, yeah.
Yeah,
And my last question was, is this something we can rent out and make money off of?
Yep.
Yes, 100%.
I'm not sure if you'll want to do that, but
Next one is,
yeah, it's an option though.
next one is the downtown garbage can. So just a few years ago, no matter what we seem to do with the current doors on them, they just get destroyed and they're all broken and smashed out, and it looks terrible downtown. So we roughly priced out what it would cost for the replacement. However, in the meantime, acting on what council said is, if we have stuff that's broken, let's fix it.
Get it.
So we've called Excel, we've sent over the templates for these doors to make them out of stainless steel, and they're under production. So
Okay.
this is more of an update, I guess.
No, and again, this is our downtown area. We get comments all the time about the garbage cans are full, they're overfilling, broken. You know, let's
And
fit that.
these units have been discontinued, so we can't even, sorry, that was another part. These are discontinued, we can't even get replacement parts for any of them, no matter how hard we try.
So when Excel does whatever they're doing, they're gonna be harder to get into?
Yeah, harder to break into. Yeah, they have to really do a lot of work. Right now, they're flimsy, and they get cold, they just, arena cell booster, we do have, so this is a little bit different, because we do have a cell booster at the arena. It's, I believe, designed for analog cell phones. So it's not that it doesn't work, it's just the technology is completely 2G. Yeah, 2G network. So if you're ever in the arena having trouble with your cell phone, if you have the ability to change it back to analog, you'll be fine, but
Again, this is equipment that's installed obsolete. Let's just get the proper equipment so that our buildings are functioning properly.
Although I'd like to point out the other angle, there's nothing more frustrating than watching minor hockey and every parent is on their phone. It'd be nice if the phone did work and pay attention to your kids.
A block.
Yeah.
yeah, that's
I can understand the wellness center. We know you're working out, you wanna have that streaming ability for music, whatever it may be. When you're at the arena, you're there usually taking part or watching something. You should be doing that. That's what I'd like to.
That's a
So I like
great.
these.
Yeah. One of the parents actually made a comment in terms of a safety comment. If something was to happen, the ability to call 911 maybe delayed.
But you have a staff with an analog phone in their offices, right? There's always somebody on staff. The place is never not occupied by staff with phones accessible.
Other than councillor manager, I think you got approval.
No, it just with an asterisk.
Yeah, with an asterisk, yeah.
Enjoy your kids. They're not there very long.
Yeah, they grow up quick. Yeah,
Then they would complain. that,
Yeah, it's not-
Why do you have it?
yeah, exactly.
Either you have it or you don't.
I mean, we, you know, it's as much as I agree with councillor management.
Next one, we'd like, so the question was asked of council last time, a few meetings ago. Are there anything that may hinder us moving into the grass cutting season for 2025? That may hinder us from being more efficient and more efficient? After giving it a lot of thought, our large rotary mower, we call it the Batwing, has some power issues. It's not able to perform as quickly or as efficiently as we'd like. New units are, I think they're well over $100,000 roughly for something in this neighborhood. So we're asking council to at least consider allowing us to purchase a used unit of this variety to help us cut the large parks and playgrounds and, baseball fields.
My question is, why use them?
Why used?
If it's a critical piece of equipment for us to actually keep maintaining the parks to a standard that we're expecting and our citizens are expecting, why would we buy a used?
Just, trying to be fiscally responsible.
How much is the new one?
Overall, it's closer to 200.
Closer to 200?
100 and, they're 100 and change for sure.
Really? I personally would like to see, I would personally like to see a cost, like, I would like to know the an equivalent cost to a brand new one.
Yeah.
And I would like to know what's Councillor Allen had mentioned earlier, what's the lifespan, like, you know, you're getting one for X number of years, what's wearing out about it, how many years you got left?
There's no purchasing rush on this to get in the pipeline, so we can bring it back with more information on that for sure.
But I think the support is there, you need the tools.
We talked about this at the open house as well, Shire derived aggregate. There is a grant that we would like to apply for to help stabilize a few of the back lanes. We'll see how far we can stretch the dollars. Again, the back lanes are a significant concern for our citizens. We would select probably some of our busier back lanes. Dufferin comes to mind. And then there's one, I think one of the Tremoden ones gets punched out pretty badly. No matter how much gravel we put, we were thinking someone maybe was stealing the gravel, but the gravel just be laid down and just sort of disappears.
Yeah, well, Dufferin from, you know, like as my neighbors, I'm the neighbors there, the issue is it's built up. Everything around it is built up and everything, the grade's wrong and it runs into the people's yards.
Yeah.
What's, how far do you have to excavate to put the tire particles down?
So they gave us a few different examples at the conference where we're at. Sometimes only a few feet, 2-3 feet, and then you can fill it up and.
CKP has a whole pile, well, they used to have a whole pile of it that they were trying to get rid of, so.
We were actually approached by an outfit wanting to set up a unit in town to shred the tires, but the contract doesn't make sense now. So anyway, that's a different discussion. But yeah, we'd like to at least apply for the grant and see if we can make some improvements. Another area actually that we identified is behind on Centennial Drive, sort of behind the Good Times. In the spring, sometimes like during the spring, we have to shut down that part of the gravel road because it becomes completely saturated. So that would be another area of interest, but we thought the back lanes that are kind of in the worst shape would be more effective. This is another unit, air handling unit, the AC unit on this building, suffered significant amount of hail damage. Normally these things would just be like an insurance claim. However, in speaking with our CFO, is $25,000. This would be less than the deductible, so it wouldn't make sense to use our deductible. We're talking about $15,000. And this is something that would be time sensitive just because the delivery dates on these type of things can be anywhere between 8 weeks to 6 months. So we'd like to kind of
Order it, we need it. I got a couple of questions, the first one is we brought up as council a number of months ago, and it's quite some time, that walkway on Crawford. So we talked about, there's no sort of sidewalk, or how do we connect the Crawford area to the walking path sort of between Centennial and the Pine View group there. So I wouldn't mind getting an idea if there's a cost there, or what the cost would be, and if there's makes sense. So I think if we could get a picture, sort of the walking network in that little area, and how we can connect that over to is, you know, if we're talking about making these parks sort of our anchor, we want to be able to pull people, our seniors from Valhalla and that into those areas. So if we could get like a picture of just show that, and maybe it makes no sense, but we had brought it up when we had an individual was walking to school. And then the other question I have is strategic projects. So, you know, we talk about growth and we have some things within our community, and I would really like us to work closely with the Community Development Corporation to say, where are we at with the next area that we have to put in the appropriate infrastructure? And is there a cost to there? And is that a development sort of levy, or I don't know how it is. But I think if for us as council, thinking of the future, we should sort of have an idea where that is. I'm not saying that we have to have budgeted money this year, but maybe once council sees the picture, maybe there is budgeted money. Now, I'm thinking about, the RM land, do we look for grants to, and do we need seed money to be able to service that area if we work with the RM? The area behind the UCN, like, do we need to do there, the broad development areas? Like, what's sort of the story with that so that we're service ready and ready to sell?
on undeveloped area.
Yeah, that's what I mean, yeah. So, yeah, and again, don't need it today, don't need it next week, but the next time we get together, we can sort of have some discussions around that, and maybe you can sort of connect with Jonathan and sort of say, okay, well, what's the vision here? And great job, guys. Any more questions for Tanvir or Seth? All right. The airport, is Trevor online? No?
Trevor is on airport.
Hi guys, how are you?
Good, Trevor, how are you?
Very good, very good. Thank you for having me today. I guess we're looking for the airport for, we have 5 projects on the list. 4 of them will be covered through Airport Capital Assistance Programs, which is really replacing old infrastructure, old equipment at zero cost to us. The only cost that would be to us would be maintaining it in future, but the lower maintenance costs going through, say, year 1 to 5 will definitely be a lot lower than what we're currently experiencing. But you guys want to talk about the 4 projects?
I think
4 projects. One is a loader, one is a grader, one is a plow truck, and one is the airfield electrical system. Sorry, that did cost us what, 30 grand for the electrical system and the submission.
I think, Trevor, like the big ones, we kind of have a good understanding of the condition out there. Councillor Hopper has a question.
When would you be delivering the current loader to the town after you get your new one?
You know, we can put it on the same truck that delivers to the new one and bring it back to town.
The sander too, if you're in that kind of mood.
Well, let's see what we get approved for, but anything we can support the town with, we'll give back. We'll give back the equipment.
So Trevor, Sam's got a question?
Yeah, Trevor, I think they're referring to the sanding unit that was purchased some time ago along with the trailer. I believe it has the ability to add liquid calcium in it as well as sanding. So we could potentially look at doing dust control with that unit.
Yeah.
And expand our dust control project.
Oh, of course. So you're talking about our new unit. Oh well, that's a different story. We can talk about a sales price.
Yeah.
I thought we were doing a donation drive here, so. This case, Trevor.
Okay.
Yeah,
Trevor.
no, it's a brand new unit. We're not using it. So if the town can use it, please feel free to come and grab it.
That's we're one team. That's what I like to hear.
And the trailer as well, right, Trevor? I think I heard.
That's as long as it's used with the unit, yes.
That's a very, thank you.
So Trevor, I think that we're pretty supportive of what's going on in the airport, critical infrastructure, major pillar for our community. But, I'm gonna ask the same question as I talked to, we said earlier. What about the growth plans though? Like, are we making any investment? What's on the horizon? Do we need to do anything out there to grow the business? And I guess I'm leaning towards, is there needs for more hangars? Is there needs for, more parking space for aircraft? Like,
those are all great questions and thank you for bringing them forward. I think number 1 for us to look at growth, we need to stabilize our current operation and that includes that equipment and that electrical, upgrade. We do currently have a hangar that we're using for cold storage for the winter. That all we'd have to do is really put some heat in it and have an available hangar that we could promote out to the aviation community, of having the ability to support an aircraft operation. So I know I haven't brought this forward, I haven't been vocal enough, but for the past month, we've had 2 aircraft stored in there that have been operating in the area doing some surveying. So we had business for about one going on 1.5 months of some additional revenue, not a lot, but it's exposure that they'll look at coming back to do it each year. But I think the value of that hangar is important. I know I've reached out to Q8 Airlines, or Q8 Air. They're one of the major air ambulance providers in the province and up in northern Canada. Because at one point they were looking at actually having a crew base in the PAW and using that facility. So now that you know, COVID has ended and they're looking at what their operation might look like, the PAW hangar is back on their radar. And there's also some other carriers that I'm reaching out to. So what we might be looking at is for other revenue, because we'll have to look for somewhere to house some of these boats and trailers and pontoons, whatever that we've been storing in that valuable hangar, is building maybe a cheaper shelter. Maybe not an aircraft hangar, but a cheaper shelter that we could still use and benefit from storing those.
What is the revenue we generate from that storage through the year? Like just a guess, like a.
Oh, I'd have to look. It isn't. It's not bad money. It's not great money, but it's
Yeah.
revenue. So if you give me some,
Yeah.
I can't give you a number right now, but if you can give me until next meeting.
Oh,
I'll
yeah, no,
generate
that's no problem. Yeah, just so that we can kind of put things in context there. So
You're talking about the old maintenance garage?
that's one of them, and so the maintenance garage, yes, and also the Toco hangar. The old Toco hangar that is on airport property.
So on the old maintenance garage, it's approximately $600 a unit for storage in there. And you must have at least 30 units in there, I would think.
Yeah, sounds fair, depending on the size of the boat and
Yeah.
the size of the pontoon and trailer. Yeah.
Our total cold storage revenue at the airport's roughly 20 to 25,000 a year.
all good. Thanks, Laura. Okay, thanks, Trevor, and keep up the great work out there for you and your team.
The other thing I just wanted to mention as well is, I know it's been presented at the council meetings that, we're gonna get some new garbage and recycling receptacles, from the airport here in Winnipeg. I believe 22 units were shipped up to the PAW, yesterday, just before the big storm. So they should be on site. They were delivered by Gardewine. And then the other delivery will be for some of the seating area.
Yeah, perfect.
I know we're looking at putting about 40 new seats in the air terminal building as soon as we can get them, and then we're looking at Q1 for 2025. But if there's any that the town think they can use, I can get a picture of them. So if you guys can use them anywhere else in your facilities, I know WA will just be looking to get rid of them. And we might be able to get them for free. So I can take a picture and send them to the team.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, no, that'd be good.
So it is, Trevor. Thank you.
Anything else for Trevor? Yes. Okay, thanks again, Trevor, and stay safe out there.
Okay, thank you.
All right, see you, bye. I guess you're signing off, eh?
I was going to, unless you want me to stay on.
No, I would like you to stay on, but I'm just kidding. No, you can go.
Okay, thank you.
All right, bud, see ya.
Bye.
So just to clarify from council, you're in approval of the project as well, that will cost the council money for the paving?
Yes.
Thank you.
So now we have the fire chief. So we are starting now from 26, project 26.
Okay, so for next year, we only have 4 projects. I kind of labeled them in A, B, C, kind of A is needed, B is a need, but it could wait if needed, and C is more of a want type deal. So the first one is the hose tester. We have one that's inoperable right now. We've tried to get it going, we put a bunch of money into it. We can't get it going. Nobody in town works on them. So we do have to test our hoses annually. It's a safety thing. Last year when we did test them, we had the hose tester from Swan River. They were generous enough to let us borrow theirs for about a month. And we had quite a few lengths of hose fail at 95 PSI.
Well, I think, again, this is kind of, we talked earlier, this is just tools you need to do your work, so
Okay.
it's nothing new.
The second floor C-can. We have quite a few buildings in town that are more than single story, as you guys know. We don't have a spot to actually do above grade live fire. We have the 2 C-cans that we do burns in, but it's flat ground. We have the large tower. It's made out of wood. Probably shouldn't do any burns in there, or else we're gonna have some major issues going on. So we're looking at accessing the training fund from OFC, from our training division. And that'll provide us up to $6,000 in funding. Priced out C-cans from Manitoba to Saskatchewan for a 20-footer. And to get it shipped up here is about $4,500 for a brand new C-can, plus a welder to create exterior stairwells for the second means of egress, windows, venting ports. It's about that $12,000 mark. So
I'm wondering if there's an opportunity with CKP, is that you're working closely with them now. When they have students that are doing their welding programs in May, that they can actually donate and sort of support that.
yeah. Yeah,
So you'll be looking up for someone.
I just want to add too, I'm in support of the idea, although I think you'd have to do an assessment as well on the cost of properly preparing the ground. The current C-cans were just dropped in the yard. There's no base supported. You may want to put a proper foundation under it, so you might want to.
Yeah, the original plan, instead of setting them right on top of one another and walking them in like you can, just because there's live fire with the metal weakening in, we were gonna put tubing across down to some concrete on the ground, so that the weight is dispersed over the metal tubing.
Yeah, it should be on a foundation. That's all I'm getting at. So your costs may increase because you might want to move the current ones, make a foundation, place them properly.
Yeah.
I know the floor systems as well, you might want to get rid of the floors and have a concrete slab that you can actually clean up and look after easily, right?
Yeah.
So I think we're in support of that.
Okay. So the hose tester I put as an A, that's a need. The second floor C-can is kind of a need, but it could wait a year or two.
Well, I don't think that we're not asking you to wait, so.
So, the next. That's the extractor this year. It's been used a ton already. The guys are really going hard at it. Whenever we're out of fire, they're cleaning the gear. The only downside to that is drying it now. It takes so long with just fans and hanging it in the hall, finding somewhere to hang it in the hall to dry it all. Especially if it's a structure fire with. So this hose dryer, or this turnout gear dryer would eliminate a lot of our downtime. We don't have,
I support that, and I mean, I don't know if anybody's got any concerns. So, yeah.
Okay.
And is it something, again, it's sort of the same question, is it something we need to pre-order and get it here January 1st sort of thing?
no, the lead time on this is about 2 to 3 weeks.
Oh.
So. And then the next one is kind of the biggest one that we have. It's the wildland truck. Right now, we currently don't have any apparatus that can get out into a field in the RM. In the walking path and behind UCN, down the rail track behind HBR. We had a muskeg fire down there last week, and it was tight getting the tanker down there. So we want to take one of the, I guess, repo trucks from the town yard and convert it into a wildland truck. It's about, for all in, all done, radios, lighting, deckling, this, skid unit, it's about 32,000. To buy one of these from a supplier, you're 200,000 to 400,000.
Yeah, I don't understand enough about that. I don't, if we don't have it today, I don't know why we need it now and how important it is. And I don't know, I don't have a good idea.
My input on it is you did have the RRU set up in a seasonal way. I know it was dismantled when a previous fire chief left, but it was set up in a manner for wildland purposes. We do have obviously wildland situations here, but you also have our base, which is 2 miles outside of the town of Paul, which is gonna do a big wildland interface. We also have a trailer that has been sitting outside completely unutilized for how many years, that was also set up as a wildland response unit. And having a truck, I don't know what kind of truck you're looking at, 300 gallons of water isn't gonna alter your differences from your current unit that you have on the, or I'm assuming is still on the RRU, for getting into those tight spaces to take that initial action. So I'm echoing kind of what the mayor says. We've always made do. Yes, it's a wish, it's nice to have, but given what we do, we've always been able to make it work without any issue.
The other issue we have, like with the RU being a wildland unit too, is that if it's out like at Cranberry when we were up there for a week, like we didn't take the RU, we actually took pump 2. So we took a frontline engine out of town for a week straight. So now we're out of vehicle and we have 25 members. We don't have enough seating for members to respond. If we have all 25 members or come to a call, like the Lido, we don't have enough trucks to transport them.
Where would you park this unit? Because right now you currently have units parked outside because we don't have the space for it.
So with the skid unit, it's removable. So during the summer, you're not gonna be able to take a skid unit with 300 gallons of water out by
But
hand.
during the day, where would that unit sit?
It would have to be outside.
Councillor Hopper?
Say years ago, I think the off-road vehicle was bought for that and trailer and first concern is town. You can make work, if you take a unit, to a wildfire up out of town, whether it's Cranberry or Flin Flon, first priority is the town.
Yeah, which we were protecting the town.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Yeah. Councillor Allen?
I'm gonna assume that the primary location where this will be used will be mostly outside of the town.
We've actually had more issues inside of the town. So behind UCN, behind the Golden Arrow in that Muskeg area. We've only had maybe 6 grass fires this year alone. So, but we've had about 10 to 12 or more Muskeg fires from kids going back there, the transients getting back there in the camps.
So it is more in town, but there's still a fair response outside of town.
Yeah.
And the reason I'm asking is with something like this, like I don't know exactly what our agreements are with the RM and all that, but is our agreements including funding for additional pieces of equipment like this? I don't believe so.
No, they don't pay for capital, but that's a good discussion point. I guess what I'm hearing is we're not really fully on board yet with this. I don't think it's a hard, but it's a no right now. If there's some other ways of getting some funding, as Councillor Allen mentioned, or if there's something we're missing with regards to, you just don't have the ability to do it at all right now. So I think,
I think the other big thing is the transporting of firefighters. So like wintertime, the skid unit would go, so now it's a utility. So right now, our guys, if they miss a truck and all trucks are gone, they're grabbing their gear, they're going in their personal vehicle. So now they're in their personal vehicle with turnout gear, that's carcinogens. Their kids are in that vehicle.
And then, so I'm sure that this is not the only way that we can transport, like it is.
You've got.
I hear what you're
struck there for hauling hose. If you're short people, there's more people to haul in at the fire scene, I guess they could take another truck.
And that's the problem. I mean, you have 2 additional trucks that we didn't have before. and we fluctuate. The biggest thing a firefighter I think takes pride in is their innovation, their inability to adapt, and you work with the equipment you have. Especially, like I said, that trailer hasn't moved in 2.5 years,
No, it moved
when it
this
used to
year.
be, is it outfitted with anything right now?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
What's in there?
And it's got all Mark III pumps, sprinklers.
So it's basically set up as a wildland operation.
It's a value protection trailer.
So what kind of truck were you looking at if you had one that you said repo? What kind of truck were you looking at?
It was, I believe it's a 3/4 ton Silverado. It's an older model, not brand new.
So a 300 gallon tank, which approximately 2,800 pounds, capacity on a truck like that's like 3,500 pounds. It doesn't really suit your needs any, at the end of the day. Once you add all the equipment and riders, the truck is overweight and no longer safe to be taking with a 300 gallon tank.
That's right.
Anyway, you got 3 out of 4, it's pretty good.
Yeah. So, yeah, we're not, like I said, I don't know if we're fully on board yet, Byron, but so you might have some more time to try to sell to us. It's,
Yeah.
we got time here. Okay, thank you very much for that. Computer replacements, tower, phone system replacements. It's all part of doing business. I know Laura does lots of work on this. I think we just gotta continue replacing the equipment we need to do to operate a facility, so
That's a maintenance thing.
I don't see any issues with any of that right now, Laura.
This kind of got brought up, I think, at one other council meeting a while back, and the comment I had made at that time was, why do we not have a staggered
Yeah.
expectation that X number of computers or whatever get replaced every year?
I think it goes back to what somebody said earlier, we should have a budget for computers.
Yep.
And it's just set up every year, and you use it as a spending or a place. And you leave it to your IT people to decide when you need to actually replace things.
Yeah, and that was what I was hoping to put into place this year. This one was just kind of a little bit more than what I was originally anticipating. I was originally only gonna go for about 20 grand this year, but unfortunately, Windows Microsoft has decided to discontinue Windows 10 effective October of 2025, which means there'll be no security updates after that. So unfortunately, we'll have to change a few more computers than what I originally anticipated to do.
Okay, thanks, Laura. So just to move forward there, to recreation.
Sorry, I have a quick
Oh, sorry.
question about, the internet
Oh,
tower,
sorry.
the town garage. How is this different from what we did a couple of years ago when Sam moved over there? That wasn't a tower, that was just an upgrade in order for him to be able to. How's this different?
We have the trees that are too high above the tower that's there. And it's causing disruptions in the internet feed going from the wellness center over to the garage. As well, that tower has been there for a number of years and has seen some weathering as well as a bit of damage. So it is time for it to be changed out.
Okay, so it's the physical tower, it has nothing to do with the upgrade that we did. Okay, thank you.
I was keeping Jonathan here to the last minute, or Jackson here to the last minute, so I skipped him to make sure recreation goes first. But I just thought I was gonna miss him, didn't he?
Only have 2. Yeah, so the collection storage improvement, basically would be half grant and half operations. We'd be looking at some heritage grant program, which has a specific mandate for collections management, and it would be to acquire some new display cases, as well as a large freezer. So the reason for the freezer and why it's important for collections management is because we need to have sort of these natural history items. So like, think of like a taxidermied animal or bird or anything like that. Those are the most vulnerable to pests in the collection. So you need to freeze them 2, 3, 4 times. And right now our current freezer can handle like some of the big birds, for example, that we have, where they're posed with the wing like one up this way and one's down here, and so you can't close it in without obviously breaking the bird and everything like that, right? So
getting a new freezer, would basically eliminate that risk.
Sounds good.
And right now we only have, like, we have a lot of display cases, for like the permanent gallery and everything like that, but what we don't have is a lot of display cases for the temporary gallery. So it really limits what we can do and what we can display in that space. And so, like I discussed at the October 28th one about sort of the new exhibit plan and getting things out from the collection, getting those other display cases would enable us to, bring in display everything that we have in the collection.
So maybe I missed something over a couple meetings or maybe haven't been present. The other night you talked about a lot of big plans that I was excited for. Talk about new layouts and how come none of that is part of capital? To me, I was expecting actually a big wish list from you of this is what we want to do. We want to revamp the museum.
So for the redesign of the museum, I don't know what grant is available yet for specific things.
So there's nothing I want to plan for from us though to make that happen in the event?
Again, it depends how much that is available. So like if it's an accessibility grant that's available, then we'll look at maybe doing the washrooms over, for example, of the redesign of the museum. If there's a different grant, I don't know what it would fall under, but maybe a combination of things, then we maybe look at doing like the kitchenette of the Rotary Room as part of sort of the plans that we already had.
Sorry, I was just expecting
No,
to
that's,
throw more money your way because I was thinking you were going to be revamping things sooner.
So a majority of your sort of upgrades come from granting processes that become available through the year?
Yeah.
Okay. Little fun fact though, if you go to the Hockey Hall of Fame and where they store all the artifacts, and when people bring in gloves and skates and all that, they all go into a freezer.
How was that bird post again?
One wing up in the air and one down.
No, thanks.
And then the other thing is, basically the following the chairs for the Rotary Room this year, through Friends of Sam Waller Museum and, the Rotary Club. So for next year, we're looking at getting new tables, basically, to chairs, and I priced it around the same as what we paid for the chairs, just because, again, I don't know what, the grant is gonna be from Friends of Sam Waller and how much Rotary will be willing to, give again this year, but similar.
Good. Thanks, Bill. Appreciate it.
Last manager.
That's
He wasn't actually the one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, could keep them extra. We should make them do a presentation, never mind for the community. Oh, I guess.
I just remember Kelsey saying rubberization of everything. Last year from the community saying, are you getting rubberized too?
Yeah.
So,
And we pickleball courts everywhere.
Yeah, I heard pickleball was quite the hit at
Yeah.
the whole meeting, so we have an avid pickleball community, so
That's good.
I'm not surprised.
Keep doing well.
I'll start with the least costing one, the wellness equipment there. And we're trying to bring that one up. Which project? It's the wellness.
The numbers.
41. Yeah, 41. And it's really just our typical bringing in new equipment, keeping up with technology.
Yeah.
Specifically, I've geared more to try to be more inclusive, safety bars that'll allow individuals to utilize when they can't use it normally. And some additional cardio equipment also that, for people that are not accessible to a bike possibly. So, the skier that I included in the report there, is one of the examples of that. Just a simple project that also doesn't put a big footprint in our wellness center where we're kind of running out of room. So we're still able to utilize the room we have with these pieces and it's actually bringing quite a bit in. Moving on to number 36, the arena one dugouts. So as you guys know, the hardball slow pitch, it's kind of picked up in the last few years. I know my kids have really enjoyed playing baseball and a lot of others have joined in the last few years, especially since COVID when it was supposed to go and then it got canceled. We've been trying to make an effort to focus on that area, improve the baseball diamonds with the lights. I'm not sure if you've taken a look, but the turf line is installed now in Arena One in Kinsman. We
Looked
just
there
have,
today, didn't see it.
okay, oh, it's been there for over a week.
Yeah.
But it just blends in. 'Cause yeah, no, so we're actually 90% done that project. We didn't get to finish installing the turf line at Centennial, but it's ready for it. It just needs to be pegged in now. Unfortunately, some of our staff, we lost to some bereavement last week and couldn't get it done with the weather that was cooperating, so. But we are almost done that project now, so this would be just something that adds to it. We're looking at most of that getting funded by sponsorship. So we're looking at other avenues of paying for that kind of project. Moving on to 37, the Arena One infield. We're looking to improve the infield there. As you know, all of our infields right now are basically like a pebble kind of gravel. Not ideal for sliding on. Kids are often reluctant to do it, so we're adults. It cuts you up. Not great. So in an effort to reduce that, and aesthetically even, just to have an infield that has a proper colored shale, we'd like to add that
To
to it.
move into 2024.
Correct, yeah,
No,
just
exactly.
keeping up with the,
My only question would be is, are we gonna do Arena Two as well in the coming years?
there is no Arena 2 anymore,
Or-
but Centennial.
Or Centennial?
So the idea is I would like to do one each year.
Okay,
Arena One, Centennial, Kinsman.
Yep.
That's the idea.
and then lighting as well?
Yeah, just everything in succession, slowly picking away at it.
Perfect.
And if we can do that, that's my vision.
So with with this one and the other sort of ones that we're talking about, is there opportunity for more grants to chase on these ones?
Yeah, I think so. So like, we're looking at one, I know Tri-Community, they've already approached me, they've gotten a grant to contribute to this, so I've been talking to the president there. But also, grants do often come up that we can apply for, so that's something we're gonna keep our eye out for, so that we can.
Like that Blue Jay one, something?
Yeah, so those things those are the exact things we wanna take advantage of. To be honest, all of these things we can probably do that with.
Okay.
So we're looking at it, but also at the same time, we have to be prepared to, if we don't get picked up,
Yeah.
that. I still want to be able to at least look at it and have it on the table to say yes or no. Like moving on to the arena glass, that's number 38 tender. So this is something that would mostly benefit the junior team in our facility. It's not something that I would look at if they weren't in there.
But if you look at most arenas though,
They're higher.
even for the youth, when you're talking U15, U18 programs.
Yeah.
The glass is typically higher.
It is typically higher. I'd just argue that I wouldn't look for 8-foot glass and,
Yeah,
so there's a bit of that, and I'm totally open. It does create a better, more safe environment for the people using it, because it adds, it makes it less rigid. So the glass will sway more when you get hit on it. There is a safety factor, and then a viewing factor. It almost eliminates the need for the netting,
yeah.
like almost zero. So the netting would just be there, but you'll never be looking through it now also as a fan. So that'll add to the atmosphere, and the atmosphere has been really good in the ROH for these games. We have really good fans, so.
Councillor Hopper, you have a question?
Just, didn't notice in here, we did talk at one meeting about the railings. The
Yes.
stairways.
Yeah.
Have you looked at that at all, or marking the stairs?
Um,
Railings access, one sent up the center of the aisle, so as people that are going up there.
oh, yes, no, honestly, I haven't. It actually fell off my plate, and thanks for reminding me that it's something that we should look at for sure. And that's something that we can get with the grant too, for the accessibility part of it.
And we should do it now.
Yeah.
Like, we should not wait for that. We should,
Yeah.
I think we gave approval just to start doing it or get it done.
Yeah. I think it's something that we can do locally too,
Excel can probably.
yeah, I have talked to him. He has a bunch of projects going on the go for us already, and some that he's completed already, so definitely something that we can look at.
So this should be added to the.
So the arena glass is opportunity more than anything?
Yeah, I think so. Like, There is money there to be had, or to be used, whether, I've kind of included the Wizard as part of it. So their contribution to it, I haven't talked to Rob, so there hasn't been that discussion yet.
So it's tentative.
So it's tentative, yeah, so it is very tentative, I would for sure think he would support the idea of it, not necessarily maybe the financial part of it.
Yeah.
But maybe he would, if he'd rather see it in sooner. I mean, we're limping along, but also like, I'm sure if you ask their coach, maybe they'd like higher class so they don't get penalized as much.
It's functioning though.
Yeah, it is
It's 100% functioning.
You replace the whole paint glass with a
Yeah.
fire.
Yeah, so right now they are 3-foot pieces of glass, we're going to 8.
Any value to what's there after it's taken down?
Maybe just spare replacement or maybe utilizing it for the ODR.
Maybe somebody's looking for it.
Yeah, my thought was maybe the ODR, instead of wire fencing.
So seeing that we're talking about, you brought it up, and I know it's a little bit of a sidebar here. The outdoor rink, are we getting it ready and we're?
So we started getting ready, well, 2.5, 3 weeks ago, we removed the pickleball stuff that was installed in the summer, with some help from Mr. Whaley. We also, I made sure that Brett was able to do the sweeper in there to make sure it's ready for water when we do flood. So everything's ready, the bleachers are out of there, I mean, we gotta clear the snow now, so. That's the next step. So
It's a priority to get it up and running.
sure, yeah, the goal was to try to have it before December. If the weather is going the way it is, it should be fine as far as not snowfall, but temperature. If it can stay above ideally 15 degrees for a whole week straight, then we're okay. Start flooding. So that's the idea. We want to try to have that in December. That's the goal. And then basketball and tennis court organization, which also includes pickleball. You guys got to experience that on Monday, I think, when Kelsey filled in for me. Did a great job doing that. This is something we've been wanting to do actually since COVID. This hasn't been something that's been an opportunity to, and I think right now it's actually kind of within grasp. You got a $100,000 grant for it, and then the rest is up to us. It's about a $300,000 project. Looking at it, so definitely adds to the aesthetic, getting up to date. You know, it's not just plain concrete.
Area-free sports, that's what we're looking for.
Exactly.
Community.
So it becomes more accessible to, I think, just the aesthetic of it too. The park that we're focusing on, the Centennial, the spray park, the Arena One, around the track, just all that area, we're trying to revamp it and kind of be our hub. It just adds to that, this new skate park, all stuff that we want to add to, so.
With the track, is there any thoughts of rubberizing that? Because
Actually, the original idea was to try to do the track with the court, kind of. Track's a big undertaking as far as I was thinking about it financially. So we kind of split it up to be, let's do the tennis court. It's something we can bite off and kind of handle at this time. And then look more to the track maybe for 2026, 2027.
Where did the money go?
Still there.
Still there?
Yeah, there's I think 25, unless Laura wants to correct me, she might know off the top of her head. I think there's 25 that are still sitting.
I thought there was a higher number before for rubberization.
Yeah, but so it's about a $500,000 to do. And that's when I priced it out during COVID, it was $500,000.
Yeah,
There's inflation between now and then, it could be $750,000 now to do just the track. So that one I kind of left off on the side, but it's in our vision.
in a radar,
For sure.
come available, chase it.
Yeah,
So instead of an actual tartan track, have you ever looked at the idea, I know they make a hybrid asphalt where it's a rubberized compound in the asphalt rather than being a tartan surface rubberized? Have we ever priced out that?
I haven't, no,
No.
but
I'd be
it's
curious to
something
know
we're
what
looking at.
It's nice because you can't use cleats on that type of track.
No.
You can without,
It might even be the same type of thing that we're looking at for the base of the Centennial Park upgrade. I'm not
Because
sure.
yeah, typically, like I said, it's a blend of actual asphalt
Yeah,
with
but
rubber particles.
much more give.
It's a lot gentler.
Than just asphalt and, better on people's knees. Everything would be better even, so. Again, it also adds to the aesthetic, and then now maybe instead of just hosting just zones, now maybe we're hosting the game, Manitoba Games or something.
Yeah, no, and I think-
Especially if you get the rubberization, all of that stuff in there.
And
It opens up.
I'm glad you brought that up, Joe, because I was gonna ask, like, you know, are we positioning our recreation to go after those summer games, those winter games? We hosted the winter games before. You know, it's a big economic boom for our community to do those things, but it takes an investment, so.
It does. I think that's the idea, and both Kelsey and I would agree that, like, if we do these projects, it definitely can bring in for the community.
Yeah.
And can spark it that way, so, not necessarily, getting money off of it, like you're selling something, but bringing into the community, so people are coming in to
Yeah,
use
no,
our
for sure.
facilities and to use our hotels and use
Yeah.
our restaurants, so, I think that's big for our community to bring people in that way.
And there's usually legacy money that's left behind, so.
Yeah, yeah. So moving on to the Centennial Park upgrade, we want to be able to rubberize that, sand base instead. It helps with the maintenance of our spray park. We don't have kids spraying sand into that spot and clogging up our drains and that and whatnot. And then updating our actual park structures, something more safe, something more visible, something that's just updated in 2024. Much like the top level, so.
And I think council has provided some support now because we're going forward with the grant, so, you know, once we get that, so.
Yeah, it is grant dependent, so if that doesn't happen, then I think it's something we have to look at.
We'll have a discussion.
Yeah, for sure.
The one thing I'm a little disappointed in, I guess, is that I don't see any capital money going towards our existing parks. And that's been a conversation, especially between myself and Councillor Allen at the table of, let's revamp our parks before we start throwing a whole bunch of money into a brand new one. We love the idea of, like, say, having that centralized focal point, but our other parks have been so neglected. It'd be nice to see some capital money thrown into our existing parks to make them more inviting instead of neglected and.
It's not on here, but there is an ongoing, like, for park benches and accessibility picnic tables that Kelsey's still doing for all of those. We just have money set aside for that each year, so that's part of it. It's just not on here.
Yeah, but that's kind of status quo stuff, right? Nothing has improved. I was promised really improved parks 6 years ago, and they haven't even been painted, or the grass has been neglected at times. So I said it would be nice to see the new sand. Like I said, we know at the spray park, we don't want sand if we don't want it. But the other parks, you go to the monkey bars, there's no sand under them.
Is
The
that,
swings, there's no sand under them.
so I'd ask, I'm gonna end up with just kind of following up what Councilor Manning just said. That's sort of a maintenance thing, so. I think what we're saying as a council is that the parks that we have today, we have to maintain it, make sure that there's money in the parks budget to be able to provide the appropriate sand and the boost.
We have.
Replace the,
Actually a ton of.
yeah,
stuff.
so replace the benches that are broken that are supposed to be there.
I said they need a revamp.
Yeah.
That's why I thought capital money would be asked for to bring them up to a level so then we can maintain them. Right now, maintaining them is maintaining them as neglected parks. That's the difficulty part.
Okay.
We need sand under the swing sets, under the slides, under the play structures. It's all over the room. So you have to almost send a crew there and spend 2 weeks bringing it to a level that we then can.
I think that's something I can do.
Councilor Allen?
Just to go a little further with what Councilor Manning was saying, is I agree with benches and all that fun stuff, but graffiti. That's obviously been an issue, and there might be money in the budget for new benches and that sort of stuff, but do we have people power to address the graffiti? Because this has been brought up for 2 years. I've been on council, I'm assuming before that, but for sure the last 2 years, and there's been almost nothing.
That was the conversation I had with Sam, at the end of the year, and I was saying it more after we lost our summer students, because when the graffiti stuff started happening, then now I have almost nobody. During the summer, we have our summer students, but I would have liked to have maybe 1 or 2 more to help with that, because when they're doing their jobs now, we're getting behind on the ones that we should be, which is the parks and stuff like that, because we're attending to the graffiti. The 1 week we were tagged, we were working on the graffiti, went back to their jobs, finished it, then it got tagged the next night again, like 3 days in a row, same benches. So that was a hit on us. And so, yes, we have some of the staff in the summer. When they lose them, we don't.
But
We don't,
Yeah.
so.
So we have read that as we don't. It's either
Yeah.
100% or we don't.
Well, no, because we don't have the summer.
Yeah,
students,
I can-
so
I
we
understand
do,
why.
In a sense, but I would like one or two more bodies. So that
Propose it then.
when we do pull someone off of the job, that we still have someone at least attending to that grass cutting where it's at the park and also doing the graffiti, so.
Well,
And somebody, maybe it was Councilor Manish mentioned, they're looking at this in 41 projects and it's a wish list and all that. To me, a wish list is actually, we have a problem, this is how we want to solve it. And there should be, to me, 400 projects on here. One of which being, we need another person to do with graffiti, or we need another person to do with grass cutting or whatever. If you need bodies, you need bodies. This is the third budget, and I've never seen a proposal from any manager for an additional individual to work in any department. So if you need more people, like, let us shoot it down. Don't think we're gonna shoot it down, let us shoot it down. Bring it forward. So if you need somebody to do graffiti, it should be on you that you need somebody to do graffiti.
Yeah, I was under the impression when I talked to them, like, I'm getting more people.
Yeah.
I didn't think I had to ask.
and it goes back to, I think, what we said about earlier in our opening, it's about the service delivery and ensuring that we have effective management, so. You know, if we can't get better at we're doing things today and we need more resources, then we need to put more resources. Ideally, we wanna have an effective operations crew that's going to be fully utilized and be able to deal with all these, but if we can't, propose more resources so that whether it's tools, whether it's manpower, you know, whether it's training, whatever it happens to be.
Something also that I'd like to point out is that we have a lot of parks. And you know we have a lot of parks. But Kelsey School Division also has a lot of parks that have fabulous equipment in them. That being said, some of the parks that we have, if it has graffiti on it, if it's deteriorating, why are we keeping that particular piece of equipment there? Why can't we remove it? We can replace it with the benches. We can replace it with something other than play equipment. There's plenty play equipment out there. And if we're looking at a new, bigger and better wild park, maybe some of these parks that I don't want to say we can't take care of because we're trying our best, right? So maybe those parks need to have just a different vision in them.
But you know, and I think what you're saying too, though, counts. I believe we can take care of them if we have the proper resources. And I also know there's a big demand for things like dog parks and all that sort of stuff, so.
Yeah,
I think
that's
that
what I
having
mean.
that vision of
Different
something different
ideas,
is,
what to do with them.
that's what we look towards you guys to bring that to.
And repurposing parks is something that we definitely can discuss. I'm not at all hard set on keeping a park as a park the way it is today, but
Yeah.
that was my concern with this park, the Centennial Park upgrade is not that I'm opposed to it. I think it's great. I agree with everybody here that we need to upgrade all that. But I'm just worried that it's gonna be a $500,000 tag board with a bunch of obscene images and words on it like several other parks are, and we need to not have that happen.
And if it's gonna happen, so it's gonna be hard to stop, we need to be able to
Dealing
react
with
to it, and deal with
yeah.
it.
It's the part of, like, one of the things Kelsey and I talked about is even like the rubberization of the base. We're looking at a marble type color so that if it is a tag, it's not as noticeable, or when you have a clean slate of just say gray and it gets tagged.
Yeah.
It stands out, the contrast is not great, so.
We have people basically assigned to the cemetery, right, on a full-time basis. There's no reason why, especially in the summertime, we can't have designated people to the parks. With the number of parks we have,
Yeah.
if each day, each week,
Yeah.
one park had attention to it, our parks would all look great.
Park crew.
Yeah.
But I don't, I
On
just
Monday, you go to this park, on Tuesday, you go to this park, and you keep cycling that whole
Well, I didn't
system.
know when I was a student, the kids that were working for the town, they just did the parks.
And we need to somehow bring that back.
Yeah.
To me,
I think we have to be monitoring some students. Someone has to be supervising them, like mainly. I think we have to do that.
So from what so I know we could probably sit here all night and talk about all this stuff, so from what I'm hearing is that, you know, we have support for this. But as a community, we wanna know the other things, like, let's not just stay the same as we always were, and we always do the same thing we always do over and over again. If there's opportunity for us to grow, get bigger, get delivered better services, better value to our community members, let's do that. And bring those ideas forward, because as I've always said, I mean, our staff is what makes our community. You guys are gonna deliver what success is here, and we're here to help take some of those barriers down. And we also need to make sure that we get the decision-making, you know, for the stuff that happens all the time at the right level instead of it being sitting where we are. So, thank you for that. Just as a summary, for everybody here, you know, we've got about, almost $900,000 that we sort of got parked. Just so you know, I know Laura's listening and probably taking notes feverishly, but I think that we've got a good start. I do want to give some recognition to our staff for what they've done so far with the project descriptions. It's really important that, because these are the history that you're going to build, and so if something doesn't go, the next person knows why you were actually doing that, and also our community members will understand what's the reason for we're doing and what I'm getting out of it. So the last thing, I think Laura's put in here is a bit of a timeline for our next meetings. So if you guys have a look at that, in the January 20th, February 3rd, and public hearing target is really April 24th. So, council, have a look, make sure that you can be available those evenings, because this is, what Laura needs to do to complete her job and make sure everything's done. And again, our administration ensure that the managers need to make sure that the flow of information is landing on Laura's, desk so that she can manage the process for us, and we can get the right things done. So with that, I don't see anything else. If anybody doesn't have any other questions. Motion to adjourn by Councillor Hopper. Thank you very much. Thank our community members that may be listening, and stay tuned for more.
I'm gonna set it for the agreement, but really, you just set the schedule, and I think every other.
I was gonna